All right. The last thing we're going to do on the podcast today is a segment that I'm really excited about. I have a feeling this could become a listener favorite. This is going to be the first installment of a segment that we call Boss Like a Mother. I'm going to play. Do you want to hear the music one more time?
I would love to because it sounds amazeballs.
Boss Like a Mother. We got to do this segment over and over again just to get that little riff in there from time to time.
Agreed.
One of the things that Alyssa and I constantly talk about and have talked about more frequently in the run-up to building and launching this show is the constant parallels that exist between parenting and bossing.
Yes.
The number of times we have shared stories with each other about something that happened with one of our kids that then led to the same thing is true with bossing. If we got a nickel for every one of the times that happened, we'd have a big bucket of nickels.
We would.
We'd be able to make a really long phone call. And
so tell me, all the
ahead.
parallels, which one are you picking out today? I want to hear this story. I gotta
So
hear it.
we had a remote parent-teacher conference with our kids' teachers last week, right?
Ooh, okay.
So we're about a third of the way through the school year. So we did these virtual parent-teacher conferences. And one of my daughter's teachers was describing how she had recently created a fairly complex problem for the class to solve. And she said, normally I give them this step 1, and then they work on it, and then we talk about it. And then we give them step 2, and then they work on it, and we talk about it. But in this case, I gave them step 1, 2, and 3, and told them they needed to work all the way through step number 3. And she said they were immediately resistant, and because I'm there in the room, they wanted to come up to me and ask questions. And I told them that they were not allowed to ask the questions until they had gotten all the way to step 3. They were allowed to ask each other, but they weren't allowed to come ask me. And she used this great phrase. She says, I am teaching them to become better problem solvers by creating that scaffolding around the exercise. And I loved this analogy of the scaffolding, right? It's kind of this construct, this safe way to do something that might be risky.
I love me a good visualization. That scaffolding is an awesome visualization.
Yeah. And it's funny because she said it was such a passing thing. It was a throwaway for her as we were just chatting about Lily's experience in the 4th grade. And I immediately started thinking about bosses and how we want our folks to become more sophisticated problem solvers. We don't want them to come to us over and over again with elementary questions or the same questions over and over again. But that sometimes by being the person who has the answer and just giving the answer, we're not nurturing those more complex problem-solving skills, the critical thinking that we want people to do. And so I thought, what is the scaffolding that bosses need to build in the interactions that they have and in their workplace that will gently push folks to more risky problem solving on their own?
That, I'm going to go back to my roots here, but to me, that's like coaching.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that is to me. It speaks to the scaffolding. Like whenever there's a great comfort, right? When all the people come to us all the time and they need us, they want our answers, right? And that feels good and it's comforting in a way, but who is that really safe for? Is it we're trying to be safe for ourselves and trying to be comforting for ourselves? Or is it time to gently build that scaffolding both for ourselves and for those that we lead?
And being explicit about it and saying, well, listen, I'm not trying to play gotcha with you, and I'm not testing you. Yes, I could just give you the answer right now. I know the right answer, but I'm also making both of our lives more complicated by just spitting it out every time you ask. So let's do this together right now. And folks, this is a boss script that you can write down. You can put this question in your pocket and take it with you. You'll use it every single day of your life. The question is this: what options do you see? Right? It's a fundamental coaching question. It's page 1 in the boss's coaching handbook. What options do you see? And that starts to build that scaffolding.
Yep. Step 2 of the scaffolding, which is this is the really, really hard part. So once you got that out there, then you need to be quiet.
Yes.
Listen and learn. Wait the silence. Hold the space. Because they'll fill it up.
Yep.
If you allow them to fill it up.
And if you don't take the bait when they give you the I don't know or the one-word answer, right? If you ask the question, what options do you see? And they say, well, I don't know. Recognize what has happened. Their brain hasn't shifted yet. They arrived expecting to be a receiver of information. And so they arrived with their ears out front.
Yep.
And when you say, what options do you see? They haven't yet jumped over to that other part of their brain where they go, oh, let me use my critical thinking. Let me reflect on what I know and what I've experienced and what we talked about at the meeting and what that email that you sent last week said. And the last time I asked you this question, do I remember what you told me? There is a moment where you need to downshift. This person needs to shift gears in their brain to go from being a receiver of information to a contributor to the solution. So when we don't take the bait, when the person says, I don't know, you stay silent. Or you go, okay.
I want to fill the silence, Joe, because you're looking at me and I want to fill it and I want to fill it.
And sometimes you just have to restate it. Instead of what options do you see, then you say, why don't you give it a shot? Where would you start?
Yep.
What do you know not to do?
Awesome. That's scaffolding.
And that is Boss Like a Mother.